Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We'll start this session with the communication style. So, in this session, our objective, the first objective, we will describe the component system of communication, then identify the 5 communication style factors that influence the nurse and the client relationship, explain how meta-communication process may affect the client responses. Then, cite example of body cues that combine nonverbal communication and discuss the influence of generalized and cultural factors that interfere with communication. The communication style. How we define style? Style defined as a manner in which one is communicating. So each one of us is having his own way of communication and explanation of his idea to the others. So that communication style, it is a unique thing for that individual that will discriminate, that we can identify and we can say that this person is having this type of style. So some people, they are depending in what we call it the verbal style. They are having verbal style. Verbal style, it means that they are conveying and transferring the idea to other through the word itself. The word, and they are playing with what? With the pitch of sound or voice, the tone of voice, the frequency, is it fast or slow? So those are the things that they are depending on while they are transferring the idea from them to others. So they are depending on the word itself and how they are saying the word. The other style, which is non-verbal style. In the non-verbal style, somebody, they are concentrating more in the facial expression, in the gesture that they are using, body posture, and movement also, the eye contact with other, and the distance. So they might concentrate on this way in this part in the non-verbal style. So verbal style and non-verbal style, they are connected together to form a meta-communication. Meta-communication is a broad term which used to describe all the factors that influence how the message is perceived. So all the factors, the internal factor, external factor from the sender, factor from the receiver, all the factors are considered in the meta-communication. So the message may be sometimes hidden within verbalization. So sometimes they might not say it clearly. They might not say it directly to the others. So the meaning, it might be hidden within the statement that they are communicating with others. Or it may be conveyed as a non-verbal gestures, using the gesture for that, or other expression that they are using. So in meta-communication, the factor that influence the meta-communication, factor communication style, the meta-communication are using both the verbal and non-verbal communication, both of them, and we are using the body language. Also, it is affected by culture. So in each culture there are some word which is or expression which is used, which is with a different meaning than other culture. It might be even if it is from the same language. Also, the gender itself, it will affect the meta communication. So gender and culture, they are close together, also in affecting the communication. Appearance also, from the appearance of the person, we can sometimes judge that this person is from that group or that ethnicity or from that country, from the appearance itself, like the way of dress, the type of dress, the colors that they are using, all of this, it will affect the, or it will lead to a messages, it will give a messages. That messages, it is related to gender, it is related to also the culture that the person is coming from. Non-verbal also verbal communication also depend on the culture, because in each culture, as we said, there are different vocabulary, there are different words that can be used to give a different meaning. The native, if we are a native language or speaking language as a second language, in this case, in a native language we can play sometimes with the word, we can more easily and explain more easily, use a different type of word and expression in order to give the meaning. But if we are a second, if the language that we are speaking is a second language, in this case, it might be sometimes limited to a certain expression and to a certain vocabularies. Gender also, it will affect the verbal communication, gender by the pitch of the sound. Also, if we are sometimes in some society, it is shame to have a high voice for girls, or vocal pitch, and how we are playing with the vocal pitch. So all are there with the meta communication. Verbal communication, the meaning, it's dominate, refer to generalized meaning of the word. So it might be domination, what we call it domination. In this case, it will refer to generalized meaning of the word. Yani, each word in it has a specific meaning. Let us say, if we are saying a table, it is a wooden plate and it has 4 legs. This is the meaning or the generalized meaning of a table. But that word also, it might be used to give another meaning, which is might be a hidden meaning or known meaning. That if we are saying that, sorry to say it sometimes, but as an example, that man, or that he is similar to a table, it means that he cannot understand what we are talking about. If we are saying a dog or a donkey, it might be the meaning of it, which is the animal that we are talking about, or it might be another expression. If we are saying gazal, it might be an expression which is used that he is active. The person, it might be referred to the person that he is active. If we are saying camel, it means that he is patient. So those expressions which is used sometimes to give another meaning that rather than the generalized meaning of the word. Conation, which refer to personalized meaning of the word or phrases. in some community or in some people, they are using some words which has a different meaning than what is there in the dictionary or in the language. They are using that word in between them, and it gives the meaning. Because of that, in order to avoid the difference understanding in meaning, if you refer or find any type of laws or any type of agreement in governmental agreement or in company, or sometimes at the beginning you will find terms which is used. So they said that whenever this term is there in the context, it means so and so. So in order to not to explain the term in a different meaning. So connection, it might give another meaning for the word which is culture. Also, speaking English as a second language, also culture, it will affect the tone of the voice. So we as Arab, we are speaking English in our ways, and it's affected by our way of speaking Arabic. If we are taking Indian also, you see that they are more faster than us in speaking English, because their language, it is more fast. Even if you are communicating with someone who is originally speaking French and he is talking with you in English, you will find that he is more fast than others. So it depends upon the way that we are talking. So the style that influence professional communication in nurse-client relationship in verbal and non-verbal communication, we have, in the verbal communication, we have to use a moderate pitch of sound. Usually, we have to use a moderate pitch of sound. If we are using a high pitch sound, sometimes it means with anybody, our patient or with others, it means that sometimes we are attacking, like if we are attacking them. So always use a moderate pitch of sound that it will be accepted by others. Use a varies vocalization. If we are steady in our voice and in our way of speaking, sometimes also it will give the listener will feel bored. So we have sometimes to stress on some word in order to make the listener to increase his attention to that. Why he is stressing, why he is raising his voice while he is talking in this statement or saying this statement. It means that the statement is important than others. Encourage also client involvement. Always when we are dealing with a client as a professional communicator with our client, we have to encourage his involvement in planning, and also planning his care, seeing how he need to be cared for. Also validate the client worth. When we are letting the client also to share in our plan, or to plan of care for him, in this case, he's more obedient to that, and also we feel that he is having worth and he is worthy, and he can give appropriate thing and interview. Advocate for the client as necessary also. Appropriately provide needed information for our client. In the non-verbal communication, always also allow a therapeutic silence. That therapeutic silence, which is a period of silence, in order to let the client understand the previous concept and to be prepared for giving the feedback for you. Use the congruent non-verbal behavior. The non-verbal behavior that we are using, it will be congruent with the verbal communication. Otherwise, it will give misunderstanding of the verbal communication if we are not using it congruent with the verbal communication. Use facilitated body language. Facilitated body language means that the body language, it should explain what we are talking about. Use touch as appropriate, and touch we have to, it is a sensitive issues, so we have to consider all the aspect of touch, aspect of gender, aspect of the profession, aspect of age, aspect, all aspects of that, it should be considered in using touch. Proximity is also the distance between us and our client. So we have also to use the distance that the client is feeling safe and feeling comfortable while we are communicating with him. So we have to see from our observation what's the distance that the patient is feeling more comfortable when we are dealing with him, when we are talking with him and communicating with him. And it depends upon the care that we want to give. So in some time we are coming very closely to the client and we are coming in touch with a client, a close touch to the client. It depends upon the procedure that we are going to do. In this case, it will be allowed. But in this case, also we have to give explanation for the client before doing any procedure that we will do so and so, and this is the steps of the procedure that we will be going to do in order that the patient will be cooperative with you and understand what is going on. Suggestion to improve our communication style. So all of us, we are communicating with others. We don't know sometimes if we are communicating in a proper way or sometimes might be an inappropriate way of communication. So we have to see what kind of thing that it might make our communication more appropriate. The first thing, you have to adapt yourself to your client culture and value. We have to understand culture and values and the meaning of everything related to that client. Use non-verbal communication strategies such as maintaining eye contact with our client, and also display a pleasant animated facial expression. So our facial expression, it should be always, we have to smile, we have to be pleasant with open, we have to smile often, and we have to be give open posture that we are ready to give care. Nod your head to encourage the client to continue his talking by nodding, at least nodding your head, or say yes, okay, I'm listening to you, just continue. What's after? Maintain a tentative and upright posture and sit at his or her level. When we are talking with a client, it's better always to, if he is standing, we have to stand. If he is sitting or in a bed, we can have a chair and sit beside him at his level. By that, it will show that we are listening to him, we are on the same level of our patient. Lean forward also toward the client slightly, this will give an impression that we are listening properly to our client. Attend to proper proximity and increase space if the client show a sign of discomfort. So if I am coming close to my client and I saw that the client is going back by his posture, in this case it means that it is an uncomfortable distance between me and my client. So I have to go back in order to keep the patient feeling relaxed and easy to communicate with me. So if the client show a sign of discomfort such as gaze or aversion, leg swinging sometime, or rocking, leg locking, so in this case we have to change our distance. Use touch with the client appropriate to the circumstances of the procedure that we are going to use. Use active listening and respond to the client cues. Use verbal strategies to engage your client. So use sense of humor, but avoid also gender joke and the joke that which is used on those people of same gender. Attend to a proper tone and pitch and avoid being verbally overload. Avoid using jargon. Jargon, what's the meaning of jargon? Jargon, it means that some word that it is difficult to be understood by others. Like, for us, we are using medical term. Medical terminology, it is for nurses, for healthcare provider, it is known for them. But for our client, it is considered as a jargon. He cannot understand the meaning of that term sometimes. So we have to explain it in the simple way that he can understand it. Use non-judging language, and we have to use open-ended question to let the patient express himself and give more information about his case. Listen and avoid jumping into too soon with the problem solving. So when the patient is facing any kind of problem, don't jump to the solution directly when the patient just told you. So you have to ask him some open-ended question to understand what's the problem, to understand the problem properly in order to give the proper kind of care and the proper kind of solution. Otherwise, when we are jumping fastly to the solution, it means that we didn't want to listen to our client, and also the choice of the solution, it might not be the appropriate one. Verbalized respect of client. Always verbalize the respect. How we can verbalize the respect of our client? When we are when we are coming to the patient room, we have to ask for a permission. Ask a permission also before addressing the client by his first name. We can ask him what you are preferring to call you. Are you preferring to call? So that we have to see what the patient or our client is preferring to call him. Call him as father, brother, Muhammad, Abu Muhammad. So this is the way of that he will feel the is more respect. Convey also caring comment. always we have to combine the can comment. Interpersonal competences, we have the social and cognitive competences in communication, and the message competency. So the social, cognitive, or competences, which is we are learning it from our society, how to communicate with others, how to communicate with older people, how to communicate with a small child, the way of communicating with those who are older than us, the way of so it is coming from our society, and also our competency in combining the message. It depends upon our understanding, it depends upon our culture, it depends upon education, it depends upon many factors that interfere with the interpersonal competences. So the competences, it depends upon the experience in communication, it depends upon our education, it depends upon our specialty, it depends upon our knowledge in that topics that we are discussing and communicating with. So there are many things. So always in our specialty we have to be knowledgeable in order to communicate with others. Style factors that influence relationship, slangs and jargon. Jargon, we said that jargon, it is the word that it has, it is difficult to be understood by more generalized, general people, or the people in general. Slang, it is the local language within the language itself. So in Arabic, there we have a different some word which is called slang, which is the street. Sorry, it's because sometimes the street can be explained in another way, street language. Here, a language which is commonly used in a certain community. So, which has sometimes different meaning from with other community. Avoid also medical jargons, medical terminology. It has to be avoided. Roles of participants also. So even upon the role of participants that who are participating with us. So context of the message itself, we have to formulate the message in a way that it can be understood properly. Involvement in relationship, always we have to involve our client or the other in the relationship and the problem solving. So this is mostly in summary the communication style and how we are have to communicate with other people. So hopefully you understand that